Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or hello, wherever in the world you might be. My name is Trevor Quickshire Henry, and you are watching the Esports Awards Origins podcast. It is your favorite podcast where we speak to content creators, professional players, people behind the scenes, and in very rare occasions, some of the best on-air talent. Now, somebody that I'm about to speak to is somebody that I'm a big fan of. She is a commentator, a host, an analyst, a reporter, somebody who's been in broadcast for quite a few years now, and her name is Tiffany Spidertiff Jane. It is a pleasure to meet you and to chat. I'm very much looking forward to hearing about your origin. How are you today?
Honestly, I'm flabbergasted. I don't even know if I've ever said that word before, but I'm just sitting there like taking in all of the compliments. I'm just going to put them in my back pocket for later when I'm having a bad day. And I'm just like, yeah, remember when Quickshot gassed me up on the intro to this? Perfect. No, I'm amped.
Listen, we were talking a little bit, just before we went live, and the self-deprecating humor is not appreciated. You've got an exceptional voice. You're exceptionally confident. And in case you don't know, the Origins podcast is talking a little bit about what your origin is. So before we get involved in esports, before we get involved in broadcasting, before we look at reporting, who was Tiffany as a child, and what are your earliest memories of gaming?
Oh my gosh, I was such a nerdy child. I'm like, which portion do you want? Do you want like my first life, my second life, or my third life at this point? But first life, I remember sitting in front of a TV with my little brother, just a wee little nugget, and we were gaming to Super Mario. So that was back when you like couldn't turn things off if you wanted to continue on, I'm pretty sure. I don't really remember that much except Yoshi and kind of gaming. Also like Rainbow Road, but that would be like my first introduction to competitive. Always had to be better than my brother, but it just kind of kept going from there. Of course, you do have side quests throughout life, and I ended up racing motocross amateur. I did that for about, I think like 12 years. So that was a lot of my time. So I would say gaming, reporting, none of that was on my horizon until I got older. And I was like, wait, action sports reporting. That's a thing. I can do that. Oh my God. I would love to commentate X Games. I've never done that and did not get to do that, but that's just an if. And
okay. Wait, hold on. I don't want to hear about the next steps.
Let's keep going.
Let's dial this back. We've skipped too many.
Let's keep going.
The thing that I immediately love is I've never heard the words "and my competitive spirit getting into Rainbow Road and I had to be better." As an introduction to competitive gaming, Rainbow Road, Mario Party, Mario Kart, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Just quickly before we talk about it, motocross, what CC did you ride? I mean, I learned to ride a motocross bike myself. I had a MX 250. It's been a long, I've not spoken to anybody else about motocross. So what was that
like? Not a lot of people understand it, dude. I was commentating Warzone and I was like, wow, this player, he's just got a casual Honda like dirt bike in the background. Yes. And I was like, my homie, like we understand one each other. We've never met, but we get it. But no, I started out on 50s. I had a little PW50. Yeah. Did not stick with it. I was absolutely horrified. For some reason, the most simple hills looked like Mount Everest at that point when you're young. And then I got back into it when I was a little bit older. I started back on 65s, 85s. I rode a Super Mini, had a 125. Also, I was always two-stroke. Nice. I never went four-stroke, even when they got introduced.
Just about
I couldn't do it.
The engine sound, the smell, the power.
The race gas.
Our producer has no idea what we're talking about, and it brings me immense joy.
Just memories.
But do me a favor. So you said you were riding for what, 10 years-ish? Mm-hmm. Was gaming still on the sideline? And how was school for Tiffany? If you have motocross, if you have video games, and you have school.
I had straight A's.
Very good.
Don't ask me how. I had straight A's. I would even get pulled out of class early. I don't know how I had all this time in my life. But in terms of video games, I will give a huge credit out to my dad. Like when we got a truck to pull our trailer and all our dirt bikes, he actually made sure we had a TV, which back then I feel like was groundbreaking. People didn't have like the TVs that came down that are pretty standard in a lot of like higher end like Yukons and stuff these days. But there was a way to plug the PS2 up. So we would play a lot of MX vs. ATV Unleashed because you got to stay on brand.
That is amazing. And I tell you what, I've actually just had to Google what a Yukon truck is. I'm born in South Africa. I live in Europe. Oh. I didn't know what this thing is. I'm literally
What do you guys have over there?
We drive cars. We don't do pickup trucks.
Like I'm thinking American. Like Safari. Go by
No,
me.
no. To be fair, in South Africa we got pickup trucks, but they're on a different scale to what I'm used to
Slightly
seeing
smaller?
in the US. A lot smaller, a lot smaller. Okay, school's going well. You're into motocross. There's a competitive spirit. There's racing. You're obviously competing in all the games that you play with family, with friends.
Yep.
When do you learn about esports as an industry? Is this in your younger years or in later years?
Nah, this is like in the third life.
Okay.
It's in third life. It was a while. Like I had always played all the Call of Duties ever since they came out. I would say like starting with the original Modern Warfare 2. I played throughout college and like just people, they'd be like, oh, hey, come over to my dorm room. You know, we'll boot up some Call of Duty. We'll game. And of course, naturally, you always want to be better than every single person in the room. Even if you're just like grinding TDM, like it doesn't matter. You still want to put up the most kills. So naturally, I try to do that. I was never really that good at Halo when I played back in the day. I will say that much. I will admit I was a bad Halo player. So clip it and ship it. But Call of Duty just came super naturally to me. And when I started streaming, I'll say in 2019 is when I realized there was like major competitions.
Interesting. Okay. This puts things into perspective a little bit. Now, I will never ask a woman her age, so just to make this clear. However, I will share.
I'm like
with
1,034.
I'm turning 39. I have the soul of a 60-year-old, but I've actually been watching esports literally since the late 90s. I went back and I started researching it, and I've been watching, and then I've been working since 2008, basically in the industry. So it's wild to me to hear that somebody can come in at 2019, and in 2019, the industry was very developed. It had changed, it had grown.
Yeah.
So for you to break into the market at 2019, it tells me a little bit about how much you stood out, how impressive your initial resume is going to be. You mentioned wanting to be a commentator for X Games. How did that fuel the interest or desire to work towards esports?
Yeah, I think it's just because I love traveling. I love meeting people. I love hearing their stories, right? I usually don't talk about mine in any way, shape, or form. So this is super like, I wouldn't say like difficult for me, but it feels weird, right? Because you're so used to like carving everything up for everyone and making sure that you're like putting the light out there the best on everyone else. So when you kind of turn it back on me, very weird. But I will say, moving to Atlanta back in like 2015, 2016, probably is what stemmed it, because when I got down to Atlanta post-college, which honestly, that might have been sooner than that, I started taking acting classes. So I did like film, on-air, commercial classes, improv, a ton of improv, a lot of voiceover classes. So I've been doing that for about like 5-6 years. And then I started streaming. And then when I saw one of the first tournaments I'd ever seen, I think it was like just a Twitch Rivals event, right? Because at that point in time, I wanted to compete in Twitch Rivals. I didn't actually want to commentate it. But then I saw other people that were, females that were out there commentating. And I was like, wait a second, whoa. You're telling me these games that I'm playing like 8 to 10 hours a day and sometimes even more. I can actually take everything that I know from the esports side of things, apply it to that. And not only that, but all the time I spent learning on camera and improv is just going to slot right into there. Perfect. Let me do it. Like, sign me up.
So what was the actual dream then? Like if you were doing these improv lessons, if you're doing voiceover, what was the let's say the ambitions before you discovered you could marry them with gaming?
Yeah, originally I would say it was like pursuing film and TV. Like I wanted to be in TV shows. I wanted to be in movies. I loved all of that stuff. I tried that. I had an agent for a bit, went out on a ton of auditions. It wasn't really working for me. I was in like a super highly competitive category where I was just another early 20s blonde that just, you get put in a little box and it just didn't work. And plus when you're at that age, it's very tough on the mental to constantly keep hearing no. So I was like, all right, here's the deal. I'm going to go not necessarily find myself, but just do like whatever I want. Because at the end of the day, the best thing that you can do is be yourself and show truth in every aspect of what that looks like. So even if you're auditioning for film and TV, like you bring yourself to that role. You don't have that role become you, if that makes sense. Like it's like your best version of that. So I just did that, but with gaming.
The thing that I love so much is the slight bit of irony in this, that film and acting TV, you get put into a box and it's very difficult, and like 98% of all auditions end in a no for a multitude of reasons. So I'm just going to do gaming, in which, you know, I'm put into a box.
Super niche. Super niche.
So you've traded one set of incredibly challenging circumstances for another set of incredibly challenging circumstances.
Yeah.
What I know of your work is I've just watched ALGS, okay? And I'm somebody that watches literally every single video game. My wife, she loves how many esports are on in my house. I say that as sarcastically as possible.
She's like, get it off my TV. Dude, my husband's the same way. He's like, what is this, bro? Can I please watch like a YouTube video or something? I'm like,
But I'll say this, because I only know your broadcast work, I'd love for you to tell me a little bit about what was the exact journey like. You talked about streaming, you talked about competing. What are the steps that you took to make it to ALGS, in what order?
Ooh, okay. So we're going to forget corporate Tiffany. We're going to forget past motocross Tiffany. We're going to start with streamer Tiff 2019. Okay.
Is this your third life, correct? I'm just keeping
This is my third life. I've already done all my acting classes. We've done all of that. We are just content creating in the evening, coming home from our 9 to 5, right? I will say it was tough, okay, to go from streaming to commentator. I also got a lot of luck. I'm just going to throw that in there as well. So it's like when everything comes together at the exact portion of time, like I don't think I could have gotten into esports at a better time. Like you said, it was already developed, right? I'm not at the ground floor of it, but I'm like on the up and up, basically before everything I feel like started to kind of, you know, teams got shaved down, stuff like that. So
yeah,
in 2019, I streamed. In 2020, I realized, oh my God, this is something that I can do. I can marry all of my talents, all of my skills. I want to just pursue it. And I don't do anything that is half-assed per se. I don't know if I can say that, but I like
you
full
absolutely
send.
Can.
Yeah, full send. Okay, that is what I'm going to do. I start cold DMing production companies and I'm like, hey, I'm so-and-so. This is my Twitch. I stream. I play this game. I see you're hosting tournaments all the time. I would love to commentate. And this is me having zero commentating. I have no background of that. I can't show you any work. It's not like my film headshots and my acting reel are going to get me any credential here. I'm just like, let me chat about your game. I promise you I'll do my best. And at that point in time, you know, I'm probably not getting paid for that. If I suck or I do really terribly or I blow up on camera, well, I'm just not going to work again. So work begets work begets work. And lo and behold, I got hired again after my first broadcast, which, by the way, I felt like an imposter. I was like, I am so out of water here. This is crazy. I never want to feel like that again. So then I just hit the books and went back and we just did it again and again and again.
That's amazing. Okay. Do you remember specifically what they were? I'll give you a second because I also got incredibly lucky. My career actually started where somebody said to me, Trevor, you talk a lot of shit. Have you thought about commentating? I tried it. I fell in love. I've always been involved in esports. I've competed. I played. I am very comfortable speaking. So I managed to kind of work my way together. And I also happened to be entering the space at a time where things were being developed. And because I have a background in business, I took advantage of it. So my first broadcast ever was my own personal stream. I knew nobody was going to know who I was. I'm like, I'm that South African guy. Just that's all you got to learn, right? So what was your first stream, and like, what was the scale in terms of how quickly you went from doing smaller events to the likes of Twitch Rivals to, again, then like, I'm going to say premiere at ALGS?
Yeah. I will say Twitch Rivals took me a bit to get recognized and get thrown on there. So we'll table that. My first couple of tournaments, I got very lucky. It was a lot of those like Boom TV era tournaments. They did a lot of Rising Stars of Warzone, Arena. Back then they were known as eFuse. They were doing a lot of college COD. So I actually started doing, I think it was a Summer 8 College COD League. Seymour was my co-caster, and I'm 99.9% this is my first ever cast because I frequently cast with Goj after that, who actually still commentate with to this day. So kind of seeing the growth that we've both achieved over like the past 5-6 years has been really cool. But it did take a minute to go from that to, because I didn't get invited to do challengers for multiplayer. And that's okay, because I didn't really pursue it, because I actually played 2 games with equal time. It was Apex Legends, it was Call of Duty, and then Call of Duty Warzone. So kind of grinded those throughout. ALGS was interesting because I did one event that was through Boom TV, and it was similar to the Rising Stars of Warzone, but we did it with Apex Legends. And I just started studying all the teams because I watched all those teams. I watched them play. I watched them grind ranked. I just kind of followed it a lot. And I did Challenger Circuit, which they don't really do broadcasts for Challenger Circuit anymore. Yeah. So anyone looking to get into ALGS and Apex, it's way more difficult, right? And then from there, I believe I got reached out to maybe 2 months later, and they were like, hey, what's up? I'm so-and-so. It was probably a little more formal than that, but yeah. I would love for you to come work with us at ALGS. And it kind of stemmed from like networking, going to events, and then kind of everything culminates into that one offering. And it's like, you know that if you get brought on for this split, like that very first time you get a commentating gig, like if something goes wrong, if you don't hold your weight, if you're not easy to work with, if you're not a good person, you're out, right? Because just as easy as you got in there, which it was easy for me at that point in time. I'm going to say that sounds really terrible because I know a lot of people out there grind and they want please, to make it to those levels, but it was easy at that moment.
Don't you dare shortchange the work. Like, I understand why, because there's a humility to it that should be there. Mm-hmm. However, you also should be comfortable having some bravado. I mean, think about the number of hours you spent grinding the games. Think about the amount of
there's so many hours in that game.
Think about the amount of smaller tournaments that you had to commentate. So yes, by time you are good enough for the ALGS, that's easy. You've done a lot to get there, right? Yeah. What was it like learning? Because obviously, one of the topics I have is talking a little bit about working across different titles, working across different events. You've already talked about the fact that you're just a gamer. So I will say that there's two sides to learning a game. One is to play it, to stream it, to be competent at it. But then when you want to broadcast it, it's a different set of skills. So how have you used your experiences and your passion to kind of develop the skills across multiple titles over now multiple years, across multiple different events and like tiers? Twitch Rivals and ALGS are very different, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I know Twitch Rivals loves to hype on the community and then the kind of the creators and their story and the fun vibes. And that's just honestly so fun to me because I already love highlighting people's stories. So to have that chance to be able to do that, I've done, Tarkov, I've done Dress to Impress. So we've done some crazy things over there, chained together versions. And it's just fun, right? You just get to bring the energy. But you're right, ALGS, like it's the pinnacle of Apex Legends. We've been going for about to be 6 years. And it's crazy because it feels like it's just starting. And that game is constantly changing with so many different elements. And with the roster changes that happen, mid-split, it's a lot to keep in touch with. I will also like during my normal days now, I stream a lot less because I just had a baby like 8 months ago. So that's still pretty fresh and he takes up a lot of my time. But I hope he likes Apex and Warzone because he gets to watch a little bit of it. And
first of all, congratulations on becoming a mother. Secondly, your trip to Japan looked incredible. The photos
baby
were
was
amazing.
Happy. Baby loved it.
Absolutely amazing. So I will definitely come back to you. Is being a mother your fourth life or is this still part of the third life?
Is it the third life at this point? Like, I don't know. How many lives do I have? Maybe I'm like a cat. I've got 9 of them. And next thing you know, I'm going to like fall off a bridge or something and
this is your rules. This is your rules. And I'll say this.
As I want.
As somebody who has, worked with talent for a long time, I think you should brand it. You should make this thing. You should make merch. You've got an amazing streaming setup behind you. There's potential.
Third life.
There's potential.
Oh, we got to redo this. We just moved. Like this past 8 months, I moved into a new house. I never finished my office. I have a voiceover booth upstairs. I signed to a New York and LA talent agent and a Southeast talent agent for voiceover specifically because, with gaming and content creating and casting, of course, I also want to voice a video game character at some point in my life. So, just got to work on that.
Okay, so let's add this into the mix now as well. Because we're going to be jumping. We're going to be jumping on timelines here for a little bit, but for anybody who's maybe lost track in the excitement, right? So we've gone from childhood playing video games, motocross, straight A's, competing digitally, turning into a professional, streaming. You've also got acting. Now you've got voice acting. Let's talk a little bit about the voice acting and the aspirations. And I think specifically what I'd love to hear from you is how the voice acting and your acting training, how it has benefited your on-air craft, because I think it's something a lot of other on-air talent can gain value from hearing.
Yeah, actually a ton of people always reach out to me and they're like, hey, how did you get into voice acting? Like, what kind of training do you do? I think this would be really good for me to pursue, as well as being an on-air commentator, because a lot of on-air commentators, it's not like they're working every day of the week. You guys just get to see us at one broadcast or, one LAN event like Japan, ALGS champs, that's 4 days of work, but you don't see the other 50 days of work of prep that go into that one event. So something that I can do on the sideline to kind of help keep my voice fresh and learn different levels on controlling of everything is just kind of reading commercial copy, reading video game copy, and just talking to people and just honing in on that, because you learn how to deliver a message in those words. So just think of last minute calls that you hear on video games that are just super powerful. And maybe those words are really simple, right? They could be a 4-word sentence and you're just holy crap, they just delivered that with such precision, and everything that was behind it. It's the passion and the energy that actually make it that. And I feel like voiceover lessons really help kind of hone that in for myself.
Is there any other influences or inspirations that have helped create the commentator, the personality that's Spidertiff?
Ooh, that's tough because I don't want to mirror anyone, right? I love watching certain commentators, and there's people that I just love listening to. A lot of it happens to be, this is going to be crazy, I like listening to commentators with an accent. And I think that's just because I'm a basic American and I am sorry for that. But something about listening to commentators with an accent, whether that's, Pansy, Onset, and Gaskin, I think they crush it in Apex. So it makes me happy. But Miles and Chance in Call of Duty are super great to listen to. Honestly, Miles, huge inspiration. I don't know if I would ever tell that to him, to his face. I did beat him in
It's on record
once
now. It's on record now. So yeah.
He knows, man.
I will say this as well. I'm so glad you started with Pansy. Lauren's actually a good friend, and we've worked side by side, not on the same show, but I think Pansy is also one of the greatest play-by-play commentators in FPS, phenomenal. And I love the work that she's been doing in Valorant. I will say this: the way I answer that question, as somebody has done it myself, I always look at my peers and I do two things. I look at what I like that my peers do, and I go, how can I do it my way? How can I do it better? I'm like, okay, let me see if I can top it. And also, just to be frank, what do I not want to do? Everybody's got different styles, different things. There's different approaches to broadcast. There's different ways that you can do analysis, different ways you can do play-by-play. How does Spidertiff define her broadcast voice?
Ooh. I feel like I'm in an elevator about to give a 15-second pitch. I'm chaotic in the sense, let's put it that way. You really never know what you're going to get. I might throw down some crazy anime reference that maybe 5 people get. How some people like to bring in pop culture or relevant events and just kind of get it in there, right? And I do play-by-play. I can do color. I will do whatever you need me to do. Lately, I've been doing a lot more play-by-play in Apex. And that's been super fun to me because I get to bring all that energy. I do get to miss out on a little bit of my statistics that I get to implement in. So I guess I lean more towards flex. But to describe me as a commentator, oh my God, I don't know if I could do it in 2 words.
Honestly, you just nailed it. I didn't need 2 words. I didn't need 2 words at all. I actually think you just nailed it. And I think there's again something that's amazing in the flexibility. I definitely think the word chaotic is a great word to throw in there.
That's me.
Fits. How do you, as now Tiffany the professional, balance the idea of professionalism versus authenticity or personality? Because sometimes they go hand in hand and sometimes they're fighting each other.
Sometimes they can definitely be too much. So you're going to see different versions of me on different broadcasts. The version of Tiffany that you get on a Twitch Rivals will not be the same that you get on Apex Legends, okay? However, I do try to just have fun. And something that I've noticed to remain professional and kind of keep myself grounded is I always try to lift my co-commentator up. I was always trying to make them look better than me or like as best as they possibly can. Because if I'm setting them up for like a massive success, in a way, I'm also giving my best performance too, because I'm trying to kind of just elevate everything. And if that is for Apex, me, you know, obviously not saying curse words on broadcast. Try not to let those slip. Sometimes you can get a list of what you can use and you can get a damn out every once in a while, right? But no hard like F-bombs or anything crazy. So it's kind of pulling that out, which if you're streaming and you're a content creator, you know how easily sometimes those can come out. But it's like kind of pulling those back. It's making sure that you're fitting like the brand guidelines of what they want or kind of the like vibe of the show. And if Twitch rivals, dude, we're getting crazy. We're having a good time. We're just high energy, but also it's letting the player comms speak through. So that's completely different, right? Because ALGS, you get listen-ins every once in a while. But for Twitch rivals, you're casting around the creators. So you kind of keep that funness while explaining kind of what's going on.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. And again, I think adapting to the content, adapting to the type of entertainment, you know, an ALGS playoffs is different to qualifiers is different to, you know, streaming from home. And I really like that you bring that up, because how did you adapt and how do you reflect on the differences in how you have to work from streaming to doing broadcast from home, to doing broadcast in a studio, to doing broadcasts in a stadium?
Right. Okay. Broadcast in a stadium is interesting because I hadn't actually commentated in front of a live audience because I had my kid and I missed out on like 3 lands back to back to back. They were all within such a short period of time. And I was devastated that I couldn't travel. So I hadn't been in front of like a live audience since ALGS Mannheim in 2024 and World Series of Warzone in Las Vegas. So it had been a full year and a half. And my first land back was actually in October at World Series of Warzone back in Vegas. And I was kind of sad. They weren't having a live audience. They were just inviting people to watch it on a screen. I was in this it was a really cool room. Don't get me wrong. But it was like being at a live event, but being in a box where you actually weren't in front of an audience. So it wasn't until Japan just a few weeks ago where I got to be in front of an audience. However, we weren't the main broadcast.
Yeah.
It was the Japanese commentators, obviously, who were phenomenal that were going out through the Sapporo Dome. So I still have yet to return to a live audience where everything's being pumped through. And I'm pretty sure that I might cry if that happens because I almost cried walking out to the casting booth in the Dome.
I guarantee it. I guarantee it'll happen. And there's not a lot of people on the planet that'll be able to understand the feeling of it.
It's adrenaline. And I think that fuels the lands, right? You don't get that on a remote broadcast. Like you like fuel from the crowd at a land.
I'll tell you this as well. I was introducing myself to you and talking about my career because before you even started, I'd already peaked. But
now I got to hit the VODs to learn.
In 2016, I got to cast a World Championship semifinal for League of Legends at Madison Square Garden featuring a European team, right? It was a European team versus a Korean team, and it was my voice as the play-by-play in MSG. That was a moment that I will remember for the rest of my life. It's incredible, and I hope that you can get to have something similar and work towards it. The reason I'm going to tell that little story is that's 2016. That's a decade ago for me.
How was that a decade ago, by the way?
Oh, correct.
I don't even know where I was in 2016. I was in Atlanta in my third life.
I think you were on a dirt bike. You were your second life. Listen, we're keeping up now. Life. Come on. Streaming started 2019. I know your timeline better than you, young lady.
You do probably.
But I will say this. Considering that you've now been in this space from streaming, from broadcasting, from doing live events and tournaments, for the last, let's say 3, 4, 5 years. How has the longevity of that time frame, changed? Mm-hmm. Also with becoming a mother, and what does the future look like? Because if this is now the beginning of the next chapter, you've hit this new tier. How do you keep that going?
That is actually a really good point because once you kind of get to a certain level in commentating, and this is kind of, I'm trying to put this in such a nice way because not everything to do with like on-air talent and commentating is nice, right? Once you get a certain level, just like when I was, starting off in 2019, you have a ton of people that are aspiring to get to that level, that want to approach that. And sometimes that can come at, the cost of someone not getting a job, right? And it's not anyone in particular's fault. You're not behind. I don't hire talent. I'm just grateful when I do get hired. But if you're looking to get to that point, you just got to work incredibly hard. So once you get there, once you're at the top, once you're working, World Series of Warzone and ALGS and these things, like there's still qualities and broadcasts that you're like seeking to get on. You still have to put in the work, and you have to even honestly do it kind of more, right? Because if people are working incredibly hard to get to that point, well, obviously you have to keep on working to maintain that level and to keep kind of improving and being the best version of yourself that you can. So goals for me in the future, I would love to, I don't know, host a Netflix barbecue baking show. Maybe they can bring gaming back to the X Games so I can check X Games off. I would love to keep being a really great commentator for ALGS and World Series of Warzone. They just dropped a new Resurgence League for Call of Duty. They're running qualifiers throughout for Birmingham for DreamHack. I would love to go and be a part of that team on LAN and just honestly keep telling people stories. I prefer that. It's fun. It's almost like staying behind the camera, but it's very much like I love bringing people up versus
But also you get to live it as well because
yes, it makes me happy. Like when
it's incredibly apparent how passionate you are. There is no person on the planet
red. I'm happy.
who it will hear how you speak and not hear the enthusiasm, the passion. It's infectious, right? And I think I share the feeling because I really enjoy sharing my love for video games and my love for content and things in the nerdy space. Mm-hmm. And also, I'll just add one other comment for people who maybe don't know the talent side. Whenever you look at any live broadcast, there's only a number of seats, number of microphones, a number of analyst spots. So, and there's always more people than there are there. So it's
so
really
many
tough.
Talented people.
How has your professional career, and this might be a little spicy, but for someone who has joined the esports scene at a very high level, relatively late, Apex Legends only launched in 2019. You've already been doing pretty big events for a couple of years, but also there was a lot of people, a lot of names who were established. Did you find that there was any friction, being a new face on the block, a new voice, a new competitor in some ways?
If there was friction, I don't think they were going to say it to my face, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think someone was going to be like, oh my God, hey, you just got this over so-and-so. Because at that, I don't know. Like, I don't know who else was talking. I don't know who else was gunning for it. And I'm sure there's people that will campaign for it. And I would love to be a part of it. I mean, I'm very grateful that the esports that I work in are phenomenal. Like there is just something about being inside a LAN when you have a match point team, multiple match point teams, like it's crazy. And like, I hope that one day I get a chance to commentate, the finals, a match point. And that's not saying that I love who does it now. I'm going to support them in any way, shape or form. But like, it's the same thing, right? It's like you want that feeling and it's just adrenaline that you chase. So if people are out there and they're like, hey, I wanted to just stay in your lane, be the best that you can be. And as soon as you find like your identity and you bring that into your broadcast, it's not like you were better than anyone else or anything like that. It's just, it's the right place, the right time. If you mesh onto that team with what's going on, like people step away for all different kinds of reasons, right? Like I missed 3 lands in a row because I had a kid. I couldn't travel, right? So obviously someone's going to step in. They're going to fill that role. And hey, and what could have happened when I came back is they could have been like, hey, you were gone for 3 lands. We actually really like the dynamic we have going on right now. I could have very well not been offered a spot back. That could have happened. And I had to be mentally prepared for that. And that was pretty challenging. I did luckily still get to work the remote shows. And I think I worked up until I was 39 weeks pregnant. And then I came back 2 weeks after birth. I'm crazy. That's what you should know about me. Chaotic, remember?
Again, chaotic is the word that I would use. You didn't need to explain it. I say that endearingly. But for the younger, especially men that may be watching this or listening, working up to 39 weeks and coming back 2 weeks after birth is wild. Absolutely
Hi, I'm wild.
What I do, it does spark a thought and a question though. I will spend a little bit of time discussing motherhood and being a parent in just a moment, because it's fascinating to me. I'm hoping to be a parent one day myself as well. But let's talk a little bit about being a incredibly confident, incredibly well-spoken, and frankly, incredibly successful woman in the space, because you talked a little bit about acting and some of the challenges and complications you faced there. But when we now look at this incredibly complex field, this competitive scene, the esports scene, I think you've picked an amazing game. Both Warzone and ALGS have some incredible female talent, which I think helps a little bit. But how tough is it for you, again, in this space?
Ooh, like as a female talent, it's kind of interesting, right? Because no one, I wouldn't say no one, okay? I will say there's the 10% of people that are in Twitch chat or in YouTube chat or just kind of sitting there, and they're not analyzing what you're saying. They're analyzing what you look like or what you're doing, because for some reason, if you are a female, chances are what you're saying isn't going to be good enough for them because you're a female. But there's always those gremlins out there, and you cannot take anything that they say with any kind of like respect to what you're doing. The people that you should be taking advice on or criticism from are the people that are where you want to be. And that is just how you have to handle it, because at the end of the day, you are doing what you love. You're telling the stories, and I'm pretty sure that person that is commenting on my looks isn't going to give me quality feedback that I need to be better.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I incredibly mature answer, incredibly mature, because it's difficult.
It takes years.
It does. It really does. I'm fascinated to track and to see now what happens with your career and also being a mother. And the reason I say that, I know many esports professionals, whether they're players or commentators, who are dads, but I actually can't think off the top of my head, like, of a particularly large list of moms working in the space. Okay, so there we go. Right.
Well, if you want to throw me in there, 3: Zoe, Frankie, me.
There we go. Right. And what an incredible list just to go that way, by the way.
Solid people.
Europe, UK, America. We've ticked all 3 of the big boxes.
Perfect. Put us on a show. Let's go.
How has this changed your perspective on your career? I mean, you took your kid to Japan with work.
I did.
That's a huge bonus. But what is it? What impact will that have?
Yeah, that was crazy. It was his first flight, his first international trip, the first everything. And he was 7 months old. We were just like, you know what? I have to bring him, which then meant my husband had to come too. And I was like, you have to be kind of a nanny, who he also owns his full own digital media company. And he's being a CEO from Japan. Good on him. Proud and watching the Nugget. Oh God, what a gem. Couldn't do it without him. But yeah, like at the end of the day, you realize that everything that you're doing, while you have so much passion for, it's going to sound crazy. It's like not that serious. The most serious thing in my life is making sure that I have a human and that he survives and he becomes a good person. Yes. And that's the hardest thing that I will ever do. Therefore, I can literally do anything that I want because I've already done this, which means anything else, like if I make a fool of myself, if I try something new on a broadcast and maybe it fails, or if I let go from a show, like whatever it is, it doesn't matter to me because I've already won in life. Everything else is just like the icing on the cake.
And listen, I describe my job to my family as saying I yell at the computer screen about children, and it's not a lie.
I don't say children. I don't say children.
It's not a lie. Yeah. Listen, I'm nearly 40. Okay, so when I'm talking about an 18-year-old League of Legends pro or a 20-year-old Counter-Strike thing, it could be my kid. Like it'd be a bit.
That's how I feel sometimes. Like 16-year-old Apex players, you have to be 18 to compete in Warzone. I'm like, bro, like I'm double your age. Not quite, but yeah.
What, if anything, has surprised you in the first 8 months of your son's life? And what do you hope will come in the next few years? Because you already said you're putting them on the path to becoming a pro.
Oh, I did buy him a controller. He has a toy that's a controller. It's actually kind of cute. Because considering I'm an M&K player, of course I would naturally, they don't make little baby M&Ks. He could just take one from my shelf, I guess. But honestly, the reason that I pursue everything that I do so hard is 1, because I'm a psychopath. No, 2, is because I want him to be able to see like, okay, well, she kept pursuing everything. She kept doing what she loved. And I was still a good mom. It's balancing both of those. I'm sure he's going to think I'm incredibly lame. There's going to be a portion of your time when kids think that the parents are lame no matter what they do. But I'm going to be like, do you remember that time when you went to Japan, or here you are in this other country, or I took you here? Like, sir, I did my best. And you know what? I have a photo of him and I on the floor in the Sapporo Dome with like the opening ceremonies. And I'm just like, this is just one of the most wholesome moments, because like I'm doing what I love with the people that I love. And it's crazy. It's a crazy feeling.
It is. I'm not even joking when I tell you I'm actually tearing up at the visualization. It's beautiful.
You're
really
going to get
is.
that. You're going to get that. That's the next thing.
It's something I'm looking forward to myself one day. We've talked a little bit about the origin of your chaos, the origin of your 3 lives. I think you should call motherhood your 4th life. Personally, this is not my branding thing, but just think about it.
4th life.
We've talked about school. We talked about voice acting. We talked about acting. We talked about streaming. We've even covered the origins of being a mother. Now, I want you to shift focus a little bit. And for somebody who's still, relatively speaking, new to the industry, relatively speaking, a young professional, right? Relatively speaking, in a game that doesn't yet have the legacy of some of the other titles, right? What would you like to be remembered as in 10 years, in 15 years, in 20 years' time? Let's say the success keeps rolling. Let's say you get to accomplish everything. You get to commentate an X Games ALGS when they do a partnership. How will Spidertiff be remembered?
I just want to be a good person. That sounds crazy. Like, or maybe one of the most simplest ways out, but like, I know that I love what I do and that comes across and I just have fun doing it. But there's a lot of people that can be great at things, but not be good people. And I just want to be remembered as someone that was incredibly fun to work with and just likes to have a good time and elevate everything to the best of their abilities. If that brings me a ton of success, then great. But honestly, I value being a good person over a ton of success. And if they both happen, then heck yeah.
That's a very beautiful outlook. And it will inspire
maybe I changed, Maybe I changed. Motherhood changed me.
I've not asked the six. So that question about a vision and legacy is one that I've done on many, many, many episodes of this Origins podcast. But this is the first time that I get to ask this question.
Ooh.
That same legacy will be viewed by your son. How do you want your son to look at your professional career? How do you want your son to view his mother's legacy?
Oh my God, maybe I need to stop with the anime references. Dude's gonna think I'm a weeb. Oh Lord.
Listen, I'm wearing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
They had a pop-up in Japan, by the way.
I literally have a Star Platinum tattoo to go with JoJo as a joke. And I don't know what it was that made me wear anime, but I picked the right one. But you're not dodging.
Maybe I should have. I went with like just a black sweater that I got in Japan, but I should have.
You are not dodging this question. You are not dodging this question.
Okay, how about I dodge it? All right.
Do you think you want your son to view your legacy?
Well, by seeing me on camera, he's not going to be able to tell if I was a good person or not. He's going to already know that, hopefully, that I was a good person. Honestly, I just wanted to look at it and be like, damn, she did her thing. Like, she did it. Like, she was confident. She was out there. Because, like, speaking in front of people in general, like in school is hard. And if she can do that, then honestly, he can do anything, right? Or, I want him to think that I can do anything. Whether he wants to be a little golf pro or a baseball player. I really don't want to go to baseball games. I do not like traditional sports. But whatever it is, man, we're going to full send it.
I love that. And I'm also intrigued. Whenever we do get towards the end, I always like to look a little bit to the future, right? So what do you want to see happen in, let's say, the esports industry? Because you've been around for enough years to see some ups and some downs already. And also, you're not only invested in your own career for the future, but hopefully for the little one too. So what direction does the esports industry go? And what would you like to happen?
Yeah, it's been really interesting, right? The come up of watch parties has been like one of the hot topics over the past like year and a half, and kind of how they can integrate with the traditional broadcast sense of things. Because what is the viewer like? Does the viewer want to watch that traditional broadcast? Do they want to go to like the laid back watch party vibe? That's kind of what I've noticed. In terms of the future, what I want to see happen, it's got to be like God, everything's so accessible now. You've got like TikTok, you've got Instagram, you've got these shorts, you've got these reels, you've got pro players doing all these little challenges to drum up support and broadcast and networking for the event that they're about to do. And everyone has to have their own brand, which is kind of exhausting. And I've stepped back. I feel like this past like year from having the kid to just, I haven't been as accessible. And I feel like going forward, you almost have to find the right balance of being accessible, having content, but having content that you love that kind of supports your overall journey. But how that meshes into esports and broadcasting as a whole, it's crazy. Like I'm watching the Olympics right now and they have a whole hub on Peacock. If I want to watch specifically XYZ, I can go watch these people only. But gaming hasn't got, obviously gaming and the Olympics are completely different, but who knows? We're getting
It's
there,
a matter
right?
of time. I think it's a matter of time.
We're getting
I think until technology becomes a little bit more prolific and a little cheaper to access, you look at like mobile gaming in Southeast Asia and Asia is on another level. There are larger player bases. There's more spending. So I think it's a matter of time before that happens. All right. Now, just before we get to our final set of quick fire questions, what is Spidertiff up to these days? I know you're obviously being a mother and that takes time, but what projects are you working on? When is your next broadcast? When is your next stream? Let's tell the viewers what you're up to these days.
Oh my God, viewers, you're going to think I'm so lame. I have 0 broadcasts booked. I'm going to go ahead and do a hair flip because it's so weird to say that. I haven't been able to say that in super long. So yeah, I've got nothing booked. So Call of Duty Resurgence League, if you guys want to call me, ALGS year 6, split 1, baby. If you want to bring me into that, like put me in, let's get those contracts flowing. No, stream. Honestly, I could crank up a stream this weekend, but for now I've got VO lessons. I have a class tomorrow. I usually try to take one every 1 to 2 weeks to kind of keep tabs on what's going on and learning. And obviously that's only like 1 or 2 hours. Sometimes I do private coaching, but it's a really nice way to fill my time, keep my creative flow going. You can find me anywhere on social media. I might make a return back to anime content.
Tell us, wait. Tell us where. What's the channel name?
Oh my God.
You can't just say where.
Hear me out, guys. You can find me everywhere. I'm on all social medias at Spidertiff. The only handle I didn't get Spidertiff on was Instagram, where I'm Spidertiff, which, like
That's
to keep things a little pew.
I mean, I got Quickshot on a bunch of mine, but then I had to add official to some of the others because I couldn't get
super official.
It's the most generic shooting nickname ever.
Not wrong, but you got it first, right? You've been around. So you're like, claimed
you just called me old. You just called me old.
No, dude, me too.
Gave me the most backhanded.
How old do you think I am? You could put this on there. How old do you think I am? Come on.
I got
24 the other day, but that's not real. So
I think you are not a day over 24.
Oh my God, look at you go.
Tiff,
I gave you my age earlier, by the way.
What I will ask is, I know, but it's not polite. Let me just ask one last quick question. That's just for Spidertiff. Why? Where does it come from?
It's probably not as cool as Quickshot. I wish I could claim Quickshot. I scaled a fridge once and I pretended to be Spider-Man. So I really like Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen.
I wish there was video evidence. I wish
there might be. Also, there might be.
In the Miles Morales Into the Spider-Verse animated show, when Gwen Stacy gets introduced for the first time, she says her name's Gwendolyn and she's from South Africa. It's one of the coolest things ever. I was born and raised there. It made me extremely happy. Right. We're going to put you on the spot. I want quick gut answers. Okay.
Quick. Oh God.
Feel free to either give me one word, one sentence. It's up to you. I'll respond, but I'm going to go pretty quickly. So, Tiffany, what is the first game that you ever loved?
Super Mario.
What is the most memorable ALGS moment you remember watching?
Oh my God. Oh, it was the TSM back-to-back win.
What is your personal, professional favorite ALGS moments?
Selfish. It was me walking into the caster booth when it was a Thursday and there was no one in the audience and I just am up there and I was doing it.
Why is Dress to Impress the best game for Twitch rivals?
Because it's so fun and creative.
I just want to say this really quickly because I know for a fact my producer's old and doesn't know what this is. It's a game mode in Roblox, and you literally have to pick different outfits, and everyone has to vote on who's got the best outfit.
And you do themes. Like you'll do like 90s theme or like, I don't know, singers. It's crazy.
That is explicitly for my producer and everyone else that's old that doesn't know what it is. It's incredible. One skill that every great on-air talent should have.
Communication.
You know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. And I don't want you to expand. I will take it, and I don't want you to expand. It's so true. What game are you playing right now that you love that's not Apex?
Marvel Rivals.
And which game in your backlog do you want to make time for that you haven't played yet?
I haven't beat it yet, but Pokemon Zeta A. I will play and beat every Pokemon game. God,
I like it.
That's like a dream thing to cast.
I outgrew Pokemon. There's only 151. I don't know there's any more. I am just old school. Blue, red, and yellow. That's all there is for me. That is epic. That is absolutely amazing.
Pikachu with the felt hat, baby. Let's go.
I'm going to say that does it for me. I want to say thank you so much. You have been, you've said you're a bit of a weeb, but I will put you on the spot. I've got Gojo from JJK sitting on my sofa right now. So what is your favorite anime or what are you watching at the moment?
I'm currently reading Jujutsu Kaisen, the Culling Game arc, because it's also airing and I can't wait for anything. So I'm reading that. My favorite anime is probably Naruto or Hunter x Hunter.
Yeah, I allow it. It's traditional ones. I'm a big fan of MHA myself. Thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure getting to know you. Your origin story as a human being, the origin of your lives, the origin of your little boy, and the origin of the rest of your successful career. I hope you have a lovely day.
Thank you. You as well.
Right, we're going to say goodbye to Tiff. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody who has been watching. This is another episode of the Esports Awards Origins podcast. I have been your host, Quickshot, and we have interviewed so many content creators, broadcasters, professionals, players. Just check the playlist. I'll see you on the next one.